This episode is brought to you by BigMooseCoffeeCompany.co.
Pal. It is good to be back.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, we're actually doing it.
It's been a long time. I almost feel like I forgot how to do this.
It's fine, it's just talking. I've heard you do that. You do it a lot.
Yeah. But we've actually been good at listening as well, which explains why we've been gone for so long.
It's a good link, that, as well.
Yeah. So we had some feedback. We had lots of feedback, lots of great feedback, people enjoying the content, but we heard it a few times that our sound was inconsistent. So we kind of both had the attitude of, we'll do this when we can do it properly.
Yeah.
And
here we are. Here we are doing it properly. For those of you that are catching this on YouTube, rather than on one of the other many streaming services where we're available.
Hi,
YouTube.
YouTube.
You know. Hi. Hello, YouTube. Good to see you. Yeah. So we have a studio.
yeah, and we should probably explain that we didn't even have a studio before.
No.
And we lost our studio.
Yeah, we briefly had a place that we were renting, and that's gone. And then the studio otherwise was this predominantly, wasn't it?
For those who are listening in, it's a handheld black mic that costs about £10.
I mean, if you're lucky, with an old ripped pop shield gaffer taped onto the top of it.
Yeah.
But it did as well.
We've now got new fancy mics as well.
We've moved on. We're in the 21st century.
Hopefully our sound is real nice.
Yeah. The sound should be real good. We can go Marks and Spencer's advert. Full.
We can do some of that AMSR stuff on the side. Have you guys seen that? Is it AMSR?
ASMR, I think. Yeah, you just got to get real close to the mic.
Yeah, and we can drink our water real slow.
Okay, go for it. Okay, to be honest, I'm kind of glad that didn't work.
Yeah,
it was intensely creepy. I made eye contact with you while you were doing it as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to
spun me out a little bit.
that. But anyway, our studio's pretty good. For those that are listening in, you might want to flick over to YouTube just to see it. It's quite fancy.
Have a look. We've got an indoor olive tree.
And no one can take it away from us because it's my house.
Yeah, this is
well,
where
they
Kris
could
lives.
actually take it away from us, but that means, well, if this podcast doesn't work out and
your house is repossessed.
Yeah.
But these microphones were expensive.
Yeah, and the studio's quite nice. My girlfriend has made our front room look very much like a Pinterest mood board.
Yep. I've seen that Pinterest mood board.
We even have an olive tree inside.
Extensive. And a zebra just hiding up there in the corner.
Zebra.
And miniature oranges.
Yeah. So it's very round hay in here.
It is. It's hashtag round hay.
Yeah, that round hay life. For those that are unfamiliar with the suburbs of Leeds, round hay is...
Yeah, for that one listener we found in Zambia, we're sorry that round hay probably isn't a very relevant reference to you, but we will come up with a Zambian equivalent at some point.
Yeah, and we'll hashtag round hay life that.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, anyway, let's kind of move on. I have some other big news.
Do you now?
Yeah.
I like big news.
We have a sponsor.
An actual real-life sponsor?
Real-life sponsor.
Wow.
So we have to thank them. And we should probably talk about them a bit.
You should probably tell me who they are as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna fire some questions at you quickly.
Okay.
Do you like coffee?
I do like coffee, yes.
Do you like beer?
Yes, as you're well aware.
Do you like the colour orange?
Yeah, I do. I love the colour orange, Kris. That is, in fact, the colour of my favourite jumper that
I'll let it go.
I'm not going to let it go. I'm looking straight down the camera now. This man banned me from wearing my favourite jumper. But yes, I do. I'm very into the colour orange.
Okay, so Will bought an orange jumper.
You need to let it go, Kris.
Which the sentence, Will bought an orange jumper, should tell people...
Is that not
that
a Will
was a mistake?
Sentence? Of course I bought an orange jumper. So anyway,
Will bought an orange jumper, and when we was in a shared office space, we had an orange couch that I hated as well. And I used to joke that Will come dressed as the couch. For our viewers looking on YouTube, Will actually has next to him something that's a very similar colour to that. I used to see him and be in a really good mood. And normally I'm in a good mood when I see you. You're normally like, oh, there's Will, cool. Yeah. But when you wore that jumper, I wanted to punch you straight in the throat every single time.
I could see it in your eyes.
And I don't know why.
If I'm honest, it contributed to me wearing it more often.
Yeah. Because I mean, you do wear some ridiculous stuff, but I quite like you wearing ponchos and everything else that you decide to try and muscle into
Yeah, the
normal
Moroccan
attire
jabber that I use as pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. But that orange jumper so anyway, Will had quite liked an item of that I gained through a sponsorship deal, and I said, you can have this as long as I never see you wear that jumper again.
That makes it sound like a more charitable thing you did rather than just imposing on me a clothing ban.
Yeah.
So yes, okay, that did happen. I did get something in return for it. Also, I feel like we've spun wildly off point.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's that story. Let's go back to
I
the
really
original
missed
story.
that jumper, man.
Yeah, new. I don't care. New podcast sponsor. You like beer, you like coffee, you like the colour orange.
Yes,
the
I
final
do.
question is, do you like changing the world?
For the better?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I do.
Cool. Well, you're going to like our new sponsor because it's Big Moose.
Big Moose!
Moose!
Big Moose.
Big Moose.
Big Moose. Coffee, beer, and orange jumpers.
Changing the world.
Through orange jumpers.
So yeah, Big Moose is a charity. For those that listen to some of our episodes of season 1,
Yep.
they would have listened to Jeff Smith, who is a epic storyteller.
Absolutely epic storyteller. It's a
and
really
he-
good episode, despite me not being in it.
And he mentions why he set up Big Moose. It's for a friend of his that sadly passed away. But he set up a charity. It was a legacy project to kind of make the world a better place in his name. And they set up a coffee shop in Cardiff, in the Diff, in Wales.
The diff. Like it.
And they try and actively recruit people to work there that have possibly had a bit of bad luck recently. So they could either be on the street or they could be currently homeless. I know those two things are definitely the same thing. I don't know why I said it.
No, me neither, but it's fine. We're getting the gist.
So yeah, they try and get people to work there that are down on their luck. They may have an array or a few mental health issues. It's just a really good project. So if you like coffee and beer and orange things and like to change the world to make it a better place, the good news is you can get access to that coffee, to that beer, to those orange things, and you can basically drink beer and save the world.
I love this idea already. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, you can get jacked up on coffee, you can mellow out on beer, you can put an orange item of merch on and feel comfortable that you have done something good.
Yeah, well done. Well done for you.
So thank you, Big Moose.
Thank you, Big Moose. Cheers, Jeff.
Thumbs up to
the
Jeff and
link
Chloe.
so you can go and have a look at all that stuff yourself will just be in the description that wherever you're getting this podcast from.
Yeah. And if they haven't got anything in stock right now, they're going to get it.
Yeah, they're going to get it. And then you're going to get it. In a less threatening way than I just made that sound. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. I'm carrying some anger.
Still mad about that jumper, obviously. Let's move on from orange things before
wearing
Will stay.
I'm wearing it. I'm bringing it for another podcast. Now we got a camera. Okay. What have we been doing since the last podcast then? What's been going on?
We have done a lot of races since that podcast. I think that we probably, our last episode, I think, was Christina Madsen.
Indeed.
And I don't know if that was before or after Rangers. I feel like it was before the first Rangers. And like we've done
we've done
a
a lot
Rangers,
since
we've
then.
done a desert, we've done an ice, we've done a jungle. It's been intense.
Yeah,
been
got a lot
intense.
going on.
But
It's been good fun.
It's been really, really fun. The team's growing. So
Yep.
we've got Louisa now. And
Hi, Louisa.
Louisa.
Shout out.
Andy's more full time, and we're looking at growing the team next year. So all is good in BTU land.
Yeah.
But what we thought is our first episode back, we would do a little bit of a self-serving podcast. We've been asked to include some kind of top tips for our racers that has transferable top tips for any kind of expedition that would be self-sufficient race.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our runners, are we going to say what this episode is going to be themed around? They'll have read it in the title. The jungle. Yeah, we're really enjoying these new mics.
Yeah, this is going to be a common thing
That's
for the
gonna
next
happen a
couple of
lot.
episodes. There's going to be a lot of close-up, soft voices until
can't
we
wait.
until we get bored of that.
Until I shout at you, because I've got to edit it all.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to probably focus on the jungle a bit today. We might do one for each race,
Yeah.
and we'll put these out in and around guests. So we've got some great guests coming into the studio.
Yes, we
Listen
have.
to that. We've got Dave Stash, nutritionist, coming in later today. He's going to record an episode. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to food. He knows everything and anyone, and he's worked with some great people like Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury. Even I know that name, and I don't usually watch the Punchy Men.
Imagine being Tyson Fury's nutritionist. What kind of skill set you've got to have as a nutritionist to...
Yeah, I mean, that's full on. But also, I'd want to know what weird stuff he likes for treats.
Milky Ways.
Tyson Fury likes Milky Ways. Fact.
So go with that PR. We'll ask him. He's going to come in later today. And then we've got... we can't get them in because of the nature of this thing. There's an international guest, but we've got our new member of staff coming back. Our new member of staff is Adam Kimball.
Kimbledore.
Episode 12?
12-ish.
But now he's staff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We must have impressed him when we did that podcast.
Yep. So he's now staff. He's our new race director.
Yeah.
And then we've got Paul Tierney. Tierney. He's a bit of a running beast.
Yeah, he does a lot of running.
And he's done some really cool running recently and broke a new record. And I can't fathom it.
314 miles, 6 days. About 2 hours sleep a day.
Like 8 Everests or whatever it is. It's ridiculous.
It's outrageous. But, he seemed to think it was a good idea. So we're going to talk to him about that. Yeah.
So they're all coming up. And then the lesson we learned, I think, on the last podcast, and we can be open and honest with our listeners, is we didn't do a lot of pre-records. So we put ourselves under a lot of pressure to deliver a 2-weekly episode. So this time we're going to bulk record. So today we've got like 6 episodes we're going to record, and then we're sat on a few. So you won't have to worry about us not delivering. And if we don't deliver it on time, it's because Will's not edited properly.
I see.
So you can direct your attention.
I'll get under the bus now.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'll get Dave to get Tyson Fury to come beat you.
I'll give him a Milky Way. Everything will be fine. Why hasn't anyone thought of that in the ring?
Just please, someone give Tyson a Milky Way. I can
just imagine a Milky Way.
Just give him what he wants.
He looks like he's going in for an uppercut. Just throw one on the other side of the ring. He'll go. He'll dip down that way. That's his weakness. This got out of hand. Got out of hand fast. So what we're actually going to be talking today, rather than confectionery and boxes, is the Jungle Ultra, on account of us having a Jungle Ultra, and on account of quite a lot of our future Jungle runners wanting to know more about it from us. So hi, we're talking to you. But also, if you are going to be doing a multi-stage Ultra anywhere, there'll be some tips in here for you.
Oh,
absolutely. If you're going to be running in any jungle type area anywhere, 100% you're going to hear some useful stuff today.
Any self-sufficient adventure.
Yeah, any self-sufficient adventure.
I think that's the one thing that we can say is a current theme across our races, self-sufficient. So there's a lot of transferable knowledge there. So even if you're a cyclist or a rower or whatever, and you're doing a self-sufficient adventure where you're taking your food with you, we got tips for you, bro.
Yeah, we got your tips.
Or sis.
Yeah.
Fam.
Well, let's go with fam. I like that. It feels more current.
Yeah. I mean, we're not very current.
People
still say mass priest.
I'm not so sure they do.
That was a thing in the 90s, wasn't it? Mass priest, mate.
Radical.
I heard a good one the other day. Rather than you're welcome, someone just said, you're welly.
Oh, no. It's this shortening down of words that does my head in. I can't stand it. It's not for me.
Said it though, didn't I? About 2 days after.
Did you? Yeah. Well,
didn't sit right with me though.
No. You feel like you've done something wrong each time.
Yeah, well, the one thing that we can't mix up our language about is the Jungle Ultra. It's a serious race.
Yeah, it's very serious.
So we're probably going to talk about the one that's just happened. So all of the the runners that have done it in the past can probably feel that nice, tasty wave of nostalgia.
Absolutely.
Tasty waves of nostalgia. See, I'm not going to get bored of that. That's the name of my either autobiography or album cover.
Tasty Waves of Nostalgia
by Kris King. Can you tell Big Moose sent us a load of coffee this morning? So let's talk about top tips. I have 10 top tips.
Yep. If you listen to the first season of this, or you've seen any of our other YouTube videos, you'll be aware that we've done this sort of thing before. So there's a top tips for the Ice Ultra.
And we'll probably do a top 10 tips of video for the jungle, which is like a little short Instagram-y type video.
Yeah, that kind of a thing.
So if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify or watching on YouTube, don't forget to follow us on social too. We've got
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
We even got the one thing we didn't mention about our studio as well is we've got a fancy little clock here.
Oh yeah, we haven't introduced the clock.
You might have got like mics and booms and whatever wiggly geek stuff that you. It's always good having a geek in your life, folks. That's what
we're useful people.
Yeah. But I bought a clock. I probably spent about the same amount because it's a ridiculous price, but I wanted it.
And what does the clock do, Kris?
It makes a little cling every time someone subscribes on our YouTube channel. And Fantastic. It makes a little, I think I picked the energy sounds like bzz when someone follows us on Instagram.
Fantastic.
I might not have the sound on, but in future episodes, if you hear those sounds, it means that someone's come on and followed the fun. Yay!
Yay! Follow us to adventure.
There we are. We can do loads of these now. But actually, before we move on to the top 10 tips, let's talk about the jungle that's just happened. Because I feel a lot happened in that time.
Oh, it was an eventful year. Yeah. For the rest of you that are out there listening that have, like us, just come back from our trip to Peru, you'll know what we're talking about.
So we had 50 odd runners, 55, I think.
Yeah,
Probably
something
should-
like that.
probably
But
should
50
know,
plus
is it?
runners, we should.
With a lot of different countries represented.
13, I think, this time, or 14.
I had on. 60 is the capacity. So we just had one group transfer last minute, but we've already sold out for 2020.
Yay! We'll give ourselves a round of applause for that.
So
That's good stuff.
we're now taking names and interests for the. We always tend to get a few dropouts close to the time.
Yep.
If you do still want to get on that race, there is time. Just go Reggie online. Oh, I tried to get Reggie in.
No.
I'm going to stop
How
it
is
now.
Reggie
Does it-
short for Reg?
No.
It's harder to say.
I've put it longer on.
Nah, fair enough.
But yeah, no, it was an eventful year this year. We had a lot of rain.
Oh, the rain.
Rain for about 3 or 4 days straight. It's quite interesting, actually, because I learned a lot about weather this year. And we had it the year before as well. They call it El Frio. El Frio makes sense. It sounds like the cold.
The cold.
It's something, it's a
It's something
variation
along
of
those
that. JCR, counterpart, is probably listening to this going, God, I told them about 100 times.
So why do they remember none of the words I teach them?
But basically, cold air comes in from the Atlantic, messes up the temperatures for the jungle for 5 days. Our runners get rained on a lot.
So 2 years on the bounce, we've gone out to the jungle expecting 35, 40 degree heat and blazing sunshine, and that our primary concern is going to be me burning my head when we're outside the canopy. And 2 years in a row, it's been freakishly chilly and wet.
For the first few
But
days,
that,
at least.
I mean, that could happen.
Yeah.
The weather in that area is hugely changeable, and that could have happened at any time.
We've learned to expect the unexpected.
Indeed.
So that's quite. It's not on our top tips, but in terms of advice, you think you go to a jungle, you're expecting hot and humid. There's a whole variety of temperatures, and this is the problem I think we face actually across our entire series. The whole climate of the world is changing quite rapidly, and we're seeing a lot of freak. I'd probably say the only consistent one's the desert. It's either hot or as hot as balls.
Yeah.
But the other ones, the ice. 40 degree swing in one day.
Oh, outrageous.
The jungle's raining 1 minute, humid and 100% the next. And it didn't happen the first time I went out to all these places. It was pretty. So there is an argument to be made that the world's changing, and the runners need to be aware of that.
Skeptics out there will tell you that, records always break and change and stuff, but we've had our coldest recorded temperatures and our warmest recorded temperatures in the ice, our hottest recorded temperatures in the desert, crazy weather in the jungle. It's
Do our bit basically to make the world a better place.
Yeah, if everyone could just make the world better, that'd be absolutely
Everyone
great.
could stop ruining the climate. That would be great.
In an ideal world.
We're almost like
We're already doing our bit to change the world for the better.
beer later as well. It's going to be great. But yeah, I think it was a very good year though. We had a great group.
It's such a great group this year.
Yeah, we had a great group, and I think the picture at the end where we're all in the bar and we basically take over the entire place in Cusco was probably one of my favourite photos because we took over the entire bar.
That's not to take away from any of the other after parties we've had after the jungle. They were all legendary, but
yeah,
it's particularly good.
But yeah, I think we can talk a little bit about each day and what people can expect later. But this year in particular was very rainy for the first couple of days. Then it got hot. It was so rainy, in fact, that we had to make a major detour for the first time. We've done little chops and changes like we normally have to do, but this time we had to rewrite a whole stage the night before it started, which was intense. Testament to our Peruvian team, though, and how good they are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That team has always been strong and really showed us this year that all their years of experience now paid off.
On a few hours sleep, they rewrote an entire ultramarathon.
Yeah. I mean, that's the better part of a 50k stage. That's arranging an entirely new 50k ultramarathon in the middle of the jungle with one evening.
No, it's not like they can get in a car and drive around as well. Like they're lucky enough with the reroute, we actually saw a bit more road on this one, and we actually took them through some of the local villages.
Yeah, which ended up being a really interesting thing to do.
Yeah, it was really good.
The race better known in the area. It got people out on the street watching the runners, which was just great, seeing a bit more local culture.
Yeah, but I think the runners this year especially really helped each other out, which is probably one of the things that is one of the most important factors, actually. I didn't include it in our top 10 tips, but the power of the pack.
Bonus tip.
Yeah, the power of the pack is definitely something that helps out, and having people that are with you in the day or sticking by people is definitely, like, there'll be people, Jungle Ultra finishers listening to this going, I wouldn't have finished if it wasn't for so-and-so on that day or whatever.
Absolutely.
And even the little things like helping each other with the hammocks and all those kind of things massively help.
You'll always have a handful of elites at the front that are on their own for pretty much the duration of the race. But for the other guys, you stick together, look after each other.
Exactly. And if you're not looking at kind of placing and you're just wanting to get to the finish, then definitely, because it's a very lonely race, actually, the jungle, because once you're in the jungle proper, you can be 10, 20 meters behind someone all day and not see anyone.
The jungle's loud. It's white noise constantly. Yeah. And 20 meters between you and somebody else, and you won't be able to hear the sound of their voice properly, and you won't be able to see them.
Yeah, it's
strangely
crazy,
isolating.
yeah, and you can feel quite lonely out there. So I think the environment at times can be quite testing. I think there's some people that even like great runners, I think like people like Susie Chan openly admits that that's the environment that she struggles in the most. She's a great runner in heat, great runner all round, Susie. She's a fantastic runner.
Yeah.
But I think she struggled with the element of just being on her own all day, because she was in that awkward position where she was racing for a place, but she was ahead of all of the pack and behind the front 4 or 5, because it was an incredibly fast year that year as well. So
it really was.
So she ended up in this place where she was on her own all day, and it can be quite mentally testing. But some people like that. Some people are going to go. So if that's not your thing, then go on your own and get a true test. But yeah, so we had the reroute, and outside of that, we had quite a high completion rate. Once again, our long courses, I think we had about 13.
Something like that. 15 maybe.
Haven't you just literally done like this for the last few days?
Yeah, but they were numbers. And you know what I'm like with numbers. Okay. I don't remember them.
So we're going to post that on another blog.
Yeah, we are. There's a blog coming up.
It was quite interesting because we've had like 100 and odd people, like close to 200 people take on the Jungle Ultra over the last couple of years, but under 50 complete the long course.
Maybe a little more than that, but not a lot more than that, no. The long course is generally somewhere between, say, 12 and 17, 18 people each year actually manage to get through the whole long course.
Yeah, so we have two, for those that don't know, we have 2 short course stages. We have one on stage 4 and one on stage 5, which basically, on stage 4, the long courses will do an extra 10K, and on stage 5, the long courses will do an extra approximately 20K. So there's a 30K difference across the thing, but it's a tough, those 30Ks are mainly uphill.
Yeah, and so there's a reason we do that.
Stage 4, you miss out the hill. The king of the hill section, yeah. Yes. And on stage 5, you miss out the mountain, which is basically, it's brutal. And we have those cut-offs in just to make sure people aren't out in the jungle at night, which just limits the risk.
Yeah. So, and, the risk of them getting dragged away into the underbrush by jaguars. We don't need that.
Or hungry Peruvian.
It could happen. There are uncontactable tribes out there in the Amazon. We're only half joking.
Yeah, any given time. Last year, we actually had a tribe member come out from his tribe, and he basically had moved to Pilcapata, which for him must have been like this crazy world. He'd been in an uncontactable tribe. He didn't speak any Spanish or English, obviously. He didn't know how old he was. He had a name. So even our local Peruvians that could speak were Quechua, which is the local dialect there.
Yes, it is.
Still couldn't understand him.
Yeah.
It was a really remote language. So he came and had lunch with us in the evenings, and he carried water for us. I don't know if he's gone back or he's now into civilization, but I think he opted out of that life and wanted to come out. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's fascinating, actually. I wish I had time, not that I could speak with him and ask him questions, but I found myself just kind of eating my lunch and just watching him, because his mannerisms were that of, they were wild. They were wild mannerisms.
You can tell he'd grown up in a completely different environment to us.
Sitting down and eating food with us, he was looking around just to see like what, that's a It was just nuts. You don't expect that. And that's the beauty of this race. It's just on the edge of about 600 miles of primal, really heavily protected Amazon rainforest. So we are on the periphery of that.
Yeah. We're about as far into it as we could go without being genuinely lost.
Yeah, without having any infrastructure. So the reason why we have that race there is because there are elements of infrastructure that we can move stuff around.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much like a 2-part race, isn't it? So yeah, and this is what the question of footwear comes up a lot on this race. What footwear should I use? It's hard to say because the first 2/3 stages, there's a lot of like rocky mountain roads. You've got a bit of trail solidly downhill, so you need a bit of grip for that. But most of it's on like when I say road, it's not a road.
And it's road in a loose sense.
You're running on rocks.
Yeah.
Compressed rocks pretty much for the first 50, 60k of this race.
Yeah.
And then you take a left and then you're in jungle or river with a few little connecting trails that are there. And I think by the time the first 2 or 3 days finish, people are getting tetchy. I want to get in the jungle. Then they get in the jungle and then they're quickly asking for some of that road back, especially like on the long stage when they're in a river solidly.
That river stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how high the river's been, but our team have permission from me to put the full 12k in the river if they can. So they sometimes zig in and out of it, but if the river's low enough, they go straight up that puppy. Yeah. So for 12.5k, you're in a rocky river. And some people come out of it and they think, oh, that was amazing. And some people come out and I can remember this year, like Alex, like come back. He was like, you said we would have fun. That was not beep in fun, Mr. King. And I always enjoy that reaction.
Yeah, there was some colourful language there. Not the first reaction like you've had at the finish line.
In the time of recording this podcast, actually, in 6 days, I'm going to stay with Mr. Lincoln Back.
Really?
The Lincoln Backers.
Oh, lovely.
Hello,
Lincoln Backs.
So we're going to go stay with them. But yeah, it'd be fun to reminisce of times that he was in a river and he hated me. But yeah, it's like a 2-part race. So footwear is quite hard to choose. I don't think there's never going to be a right shoe. So I think one, you've got to stick with what you know, like what you've been in your training. And people go, I think, either end of the spectrum. So it's like, I don't think there's a shoe that would work mediocre across the lot of them. So the compromise you'd have is you go with a bit of padding, with a bit of grip, and you're okay on the rocks and you're okay in the mud.
Yeah.
Or you go with comfort, like the Hoka style stuff, where you're going to probably fly on the first few days, but then slip all over the place on the last few days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And accepting that is a thing.
Yep.
Or you go with your kind of like rocky, like your Innovates or your Salomon, like rocky trail shoe that's got loads of grip, but then you're probably going to get a bit of sore feet in the first few days because you're on rock. It's
absolutely.
It's hard.
And I've watched runners come into that jungle race having gone down one road or the other and having pros and cons to both at the end of it, because you don't know if you go in there with heavy lugs on your shoes and you're ready for mud and you hit a rainy year, you're probably going to have a good time. Those roads are going to be tough on your feet, but they're going to be slick with muddy water, so it's probably going to pay off. If it's quite a dry year, your feet are going to be battered.
Well, it depends though, doesn't it? Because the testament of how you've got to get a right shoe that's not going to mess your feet up. But we've had winners of the race wearing trail shoes, and we've had winners of the race wearing Hokas.
Well, yeah, I can't deny that. It's absolutely true.
And we've had duels between people that have been wearing the opposite shoes, and then there's some people that have gone in the middle and they've won. So I think the main thing is footwear is important across any ultra marathon, but the most important thing is doing the miles in them in your training.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people, when it comes to blisters, and we'll mention foot care in a bit, but there's some people that internally blister. They can't help it. So the blisters come in from the inside of their foot. Can I burp on this? Is it going to get picked up?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's 100% going to have been picked up. Yep.
I tried to do it quietly. So yeah, some people internally blister and they can't really help that. I can think of a few runners off the top of my head that are just, as long as they run, they're probably going to blister. Yeah. But a lot of blisters happen because feet swell. People drinking more water and they haven't got the give, or they haven't got up half a size in their shoe or whatever, or they've got something in their shoe, desert racing in particular, like sand and things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But most of the time, blisters are because people just simply haven't done the mileage in training. And that's the hard fact of it. You know, if you look at the elites And the elites do get blisters, but they get far less than what...
Well, their feet are conditioned for it.
There is an element of that. So the best way to prep your feet is you can use all the rubs and gels and stuff like that, but doing some mileage and getting those time in on your feet.
And be consistent. You are not going to find 100% the right shoe for this race.
Yeah, so
you can't. It can't be done.
Just pick the right shoe.
Get the best you can, one that fits your feet well, and train in that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, simple.
There you go. That's the answer to that. We did solve
So there's some bonus tips before we even got onto our top tips.
God, yeah, we weren't even in the tips then. Tips just flying out of us, left, right, and centre.
Tip Central!
It's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah. The long course, short course thing has been a common talking point. Everyone gets a medal.
Everyone gets a medal on the
Only
course.
long courses get times.
Because don't tell me the people that have done the short course haven't ended up out on the course for as long as the people who've done the long course. Don't tell me that they haven't worked as hard.
Yeah, so that was the thing. It's like we couldn't have... The two options we had was we do the long course and cut people. But with the ratio of people that start to do the long course, we would have 30 odd people just sat twiddling their thumbs. And people have come for an adventure. Yeah. And the short course is not easy. It just misses out those hills. The long course, don't get me wrong, is considerably harder than the short course. But the short course, by far, is probably still tougher than most multi-stage ultras out there. And I know we don't celebrate how tough we are or talk about it too much, but that's just on feedback. Yeah. A lot of people...
Oh, yeah, it's not boasting. You know me, I'm not the boasty type, and boasty.
Such a tune.
Absolutely.
Love Idris
We'll get
Elba.
that in as the ending credits. I'm sure Idris Elba will be fine with that. Love Idris Elba. Idris. That'd be a podcast guest. Go and do something involved in endurance sports. What do you think the chances are that he's listening to this?
Hi, I'm going to send it to his PR agency like every day of the week.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, fair enough.
Come on, Idris. Come on the podcast.
So where was I?
Before we got onto Idris Elba doing endurance sports, we were talking about long course and short course, and short course being tough, long course. You not boasting is what we were talking about.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that.
Segue.
That was really good. I can comfortably say I've had so many people tell us that it's stage 4 on that race. Everyone will tell you it's one of the hardest stages they've ever done in any race they've taken on.
Yeah.
And that's the short course version we're talking about. Add the long course onto it and it's brutal.
Yeah, and we don't like to really talk about how tough the events are. We kind of show it a little bit because we don't want people coming up and thinking it's a park run. But yeah, the runners do the talking. Speak to any runner that's finished and they'll tell you that long course is pretty tough.
But they'll also tell you that it's absolutely beautiful. And the completion rate for the short courses is very high.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it would be interesting to actually do the stats on female long course finishers. Because I think the thing that cuts people off...
Again, there's a blog coming up about our results soon.
Plug. I think if we did that, I think we did we provided some stats to ESPN Women, didn't we? And we did a bit of research on this, and we found that we've obviously had a higher uptake of women across our races, which we're really proud of. We've been working hard to do that, and
that's been increasing year on year, which is just great. Race on race, even.
Come on, you girls. So we had 50%. 50-50 on the Desert Ultra.
Yeah, love that.
Great.
Desert Ultra 2018.
But women have a much higher completion rate. If you factor in the short course. If you factor in the long course on the jungle, it kind of swipes it a bit because I think there's a bit of a... Even though we're getting more females on our races, I think there's a lack of female elites in total compared to men.
Yeah, there's that. But also we seem to... It seems to be harder to get more female runners to come to the jungle in particular. Although this year we had a higher percentage, which is great. It's getting higher all the time.
I think I think what we have to consider is total time.
Yeah.
But when you look at people like Sylvie, 9 kids, super mum, coming out and doing a second race, absolute machine. She's a prime example of the kind of people that we want on our races. So Sylvie, go on, you girl.
Yeah, well done.
And she is also another classic example of why a short courser deserves a medal, because she was in absolute pieces. She was last one in on the stage 4 because her feet and her knees were in bits, but she kept going. She just clung on to the thing. She was a I think quite scared of the environment at times. She had openly admitted that, you know, she was good in the ice and she'll be good in the heat, but the jungle's the one that she's going to struggle with. She deserved a medal just as much as your guys on the podium. So everyone gets a medal. Long course get a time which we're going to celebrate because the long course do deserve that extra recognition that they're one of the few.
Yeah.
But I should imagine the reason why the long courses finish the long course is because they follow a lot of the things that are on our top 10 tips.
Oh, well done. Another good segue. This is good.
So good at these.
We're not as out of practice as we
This
thought.
time out of this has definitely strengthened my segueing skills.
Yeah, it's been time to reflect, you know, and learn.
So I sit there and just go, right, give me a random topic and I'll think of a segue.
We're going to try that later on in the episode.
But before we go to our top 10 tips, here's a word from our sponsor.
Yeah. Are we going to do that?
Yeah, we'll do that.
We'll
For you guys on video, we're going to...
Yeah, we'll probably stop now and there'll be another bit that comes in. So who are we talking to now?
What's going to happen on the videos? Is there going to be a gap?
Oh, are we going to have like a video message from the sponsors in there?
Buy some coffee and beer from Big Moose.
Ding! Thanks for listening.
So, Jungle Ultra top 10 tips.
Right, before you get started though, I'm going to have to pull you up on something.
What?
Right, when I did the top 10 tips for the Ice Ultra, I had pages of notes that I'd written out in advance because that's exactly who I am as a person. Let's show the audience on YouTube what it is that you've brought. It's an envelope, Kris, and you've written on it in red biro. Red biro. You're either a teacher or a monster. I didn't realise how strongly I felt about this.
I think this bit might tip you over the edge, but I did this
Careful. Go on.
while you were setting the camera up.
Right, yeah. Yeah, fair enough,
It's in
Kris.
there, mate.
It's all in there. It's just what it
in there.
says. Well, we'll see, won't we? I'm going to be recording this.
Top 10 tips.
Top 10 tips. Let's do this.
Jungle Ultra top 10 tips. Number 1. Hammock.
That's not a tip so much as a word.
Learn how to set it up.
That's good.
Okay, so one of the unique things about this race is that you're sleeping in a hammock.
Yeah, which is lovely.
Sounds nice.
Sounds
when
very
do you sleep
relaxing.
in hammocks, Will?
I usually with a cocktail in one hand on a beach somewhere.
It's exactly the same in the jungle. Only there's no cocktails, there's mosquitoes, lots of rain, and your feet hurt.
And you have to put the hammock up yourself.
Yeah.
And it's probably wet. Yeah. It's not quite the same, actually, is it?
No.
No.
So, but that is the point itself. By the way, well, edit that one out as well.
That made me do my little wheezy laugh. Lovely.
The point being is that you're going to be tired when you have to set this hammock up, and you might be in the dark, and it might be raining, and that hammock is your little bubble of protection. It's where you're going to sleep. It's where you're going to attempt cutely to dry your kit.
It's the only place you're going to get any privacy for the next 5 days.
You need to learn how to set it up. Don't try and figure it out at Cloud Forest. They're not
Every
easy.
year, Kris.
There's always one or two, and we have a chuckle.
And they come and ask us for help.
Go now.
Like we sleep in hammocks.
So yeah, like we've got our Hilton
We're
around
in the hotel
corner.
next door.
We're in the Hilton around the corner, mate. VIP.
Sorry, I don't know.
Saki Club.
I'm sorry, I don't hammock.
Does this look like a man that hammocks?
We don't hammock in Roundhay.
We do, but ironically.
Yeah.
For like one of those charity nights.
Hashtag Roundhay.
Learn how to set it up. They can be quite difficult. There's a number of different ways, and we'll probably do a video on this as well. We'll probably bring Archie in. He's hammock master.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
We could probably contact one of the many hammock companies that supply hammocks to our runners. We'll not mention them because there's a couple of companies.
We'll mention them when they start sponsoring us.
Yeah.
You know who you are. What I've seen over the last year, we had a couple of runners who actually posted pictures from their backyard where during a normal working week, they'd gone about their business. You've done your whole day at work, or if it's hit a weekend day, you've done your whole day out on the trail or whatever else, and then come home. And when it comes time to go to bed, then go and put up your hammock. Yep. And don't put it up in the same place each time, because sometimes the poles are going to be closer together or further apart. And if you've only practiced one place of putting it up, you are going to get to stage 3 and find that the distance is 50 centimeters less or more, and you're going to have to start again. Practice.
So it's not only just setting up your hammock, it's setting up your rain sheet.
Yeah.
Get that rain sheet wrong, you're either going to end up wet and not sleep, and then your next day is going to be ruined, or your kit will be wet, you'll be wet, the hammock will be heavy.
Yeah.
You've got to carry it. Or you'll wet the person next to you. So your water, and your water will drip on them, and then at 2:00 in the morning they're going to wake you up in your hammock and make you reassign your rain sheet because they're getting dripped on. Or the final option is you bucket it and you end up with a massive pool of water that's just going to launch on you in the morning or whenever it breaks, because it can rain cats and dogs out there.
Absolutely.
So you need to be so familiar with learning how to set your hammock up that you can do it blindfolded at night, spinning around in circles over different distances, because it could be the difference between a good night and bad night's sleep.
Yeah. And no stage on any self-sufficient race finishes until you've crossed the line and started on the recovery process and figured out where you're going to be sleeping and where your kit's going to be. That your stage isn't finished until you've done those things.
Get across the finish line, set your hammock up, then get your food. And especially if you guys are coming in at the back of the pack, all the guys that have come in first have got prime real estate.
Oh, yeah.
They get to have a look around camp. They get to scout about the nice ones. They look at the ones where the toilets are and get furthest away from them. They look where the water is and they place themselves relatively near there, but not near enough that they can hear the chatter of people talking so they can get their head down. They're having a great time.
If you're coming thing that should be motivating you through the training for a race like this, it's that alone.
Yeah, getting that prime real estate.
Place with shade that isn't horribly noisy all night, and you can have it if you just run an hour faster.
Or you're going to come in at the back. You're going to be with your head torch, ducking and diving in between hammocks over guide ropes. You're going to find that last place after about 10 minutes of searching, and it's going to have a pool of water under it where it's been raining, and you're going to be near the bathroom and people are going to be walking past you all night tripping on your guide rope.
And now you're already tired and you're not going to get much of a good night's sleep.
Yeah, and there'll be runners that are listening to this that have been on both ends of that scale, and the elites will be sat there really smugly going, it wasn't too bad, and the guys coming at the back were going, yeah!
Yeah, God damn it.
No leaky puddle under my hammock. And when it rains like it did this year, even if you get the prime real estate, there's no prime real estate when it rains like that. You're just going to get smashed on. But the people that set their hammocks up properly definitely had a better chance of staying dry and keeping dry for a little bit longer.
Okay, so 100% on board with your first top then tip. Get that hammock right.
Second top tip. Hills.
Okay, again, it's a word rather than a tip, but...
Get good at them.
Get good at hills, yeah.
People think it's a jungle, there's not going to be that many hills. Loads of them.
Oh, hills.
Yeah.
Not big hills.
There's not many flats, but...
You'll look at the elevation profile and you'll think, well, there aren't any... I mean, even the big climbs are, 300-400 meters at a time. There's nothing Everesty there, you're not going up a mountain. No, but what you are going to be going up, it may only be 100 or a couple of 100 meters, but it will be up the side of a house, and if it's been raining, it will be slick with a couple of inches of mud. So you will need to be able to climb hills.
You're either uphill or downhill and they're muddy, so if you can get on gnarly hills, if you can get out into the fells and stuff like that, then
road.
Get off road and get into there. It's good training. And Kimball made a very good point this year, actually, because he ran the lull, or walked the lull, and got to see that for the first time. The
notorious stage 4 we were talking about.
And we always advertise our stage 4 being 36k. Or 34k for the long courses. It doesn't sound like a lot, and that's why we call it the lull, because it's up and down and up and down.
You into a false insecurity.
Loads of rivers and stuff. But because the hills are so up and so down, like they're climbs up or slides down essentially, when you're measuring on a watch, it can't figure that out. So it does point to point, and it's tracking the distance between the point that you probably started going up that hill to the point that you come to the bottom of that little hill, that little lump, consistently throughout. So there could be an extra 6k on there to this day, and we'll never know.
We've said this over and over again with the distances that because of reasons exactly like that, and then because of the canopy cover, and then factor in the huge cloud cover and that it's in a mountainous region, and what you've got there is a nightmare where whatever watch you're using to record that GPS on, a lot of the signals are bouncing, so your refresh rate's down immediately. So yeah, we get wildly different distances across the finish lines. Hard to measure in your head. Forget about your usual running pace. That's going to be meaningless in that environment.
Stage 4 is more like a crawl.
Even the fast runners are crawling in there. Yeah.
So hills, get good at them.
Get good on hills. Muddy hills.
Number 3, foot care.
Okay. I'm going to stop picking it up now. It's fine.
It's more. Think of that as not a tip, but more of a topic title.
Yeah.
Footwear. Learn how to look after your feet.
Yeah, big
I
time.
mean, there's XR medics there who are like body mechanics. Is the best. Like, they're feet mechanics, especially. They learn how to tape. What you don't need to learn. They will blister, care you at the end of the evening and stuff like that. But what you need to focus on more than anything is preventative measures. So making sure your shoes, are fitted correctly. So can't put a value on going to get your shoes fitted if you're doing some serious mileage.
Yep.
Making sure that you have enough give if you have a second pair of socks that you're going to wear to try and prevent grit and rubbish and everything get in there, or swelling from use and heat and loads of water. You can use things like pores wax, which I think is actually a brand that's gone under, but there's a number of different water resilient pastes, we'll call them, that you can rub over your feet. Pores wax is actually meant for dogs that you can get at a veterinary clinic. There's loads of them for different applications that you can rub on your feet that prevent water getting to them in the first place, because ultimately your feet get wrecked because they get wet.
Yep, absolutely.
Loads of river crossings, they don't have time to dry because of the humidity. So preventative measures to try and keep them as dry as possible. You're not going to realistically not get your feet wet. You're not going to be able to take your... There's always those people that take their shoes and socks off in the stage one and then go, nah, sod this.
Always see it every year. Yeah. Somebody stops at that first river crossing thinking, I better tiptoe over this. By the end of that day, you don't care anymore. You might as well aim for the puddles.
Yeah. So preventative measures as much as possible. When you get in, and Brett covers this well on the podcast episode with XR Medics if you want foot care specific stuff, but then getting in, getting your feet dry, getting them powdered, and then catered to by the XRs.
Again, the more self-sufficient you can be, the better. If you can tape your own feet, if you're proficient at that before you turn up, then you don't have to queue for the medical clinic at the end of each day. You can go away and spend that time eating, recovering, sleeping. You
can also have that extra level of smugness that you've not had any medical help. And you can mention that around the...
Smugness is always good.
You can mention that around the long course finishes and go, oh yeah, but did you see the medics? I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Not that I would do that.
And conditioning as well. Again, that word's come up.
Mileage.
Yeah, get the mileage in. Run wet. Run in streams.
Run wet.
You know what I mean.
Okay.
Like, you are going to have your feet wet so much of the time anyway. Get out in those hills and go through the streams. Go along the streams. Go up the streams. Get your feet wet, because you are going to need to condition them in advance as well. And that's another preventative measure that you can be doing in your training. There you go.
Number 4.
I said something. Go. Yeah.
Acclimatise.
Acclimatise.
Starts off at altitude. You're not there long.
No.
But you can get to Cusco a few days earlier. There's always one person that loses a bag.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Allow time for that to happen. Just imagine it's going to happen to you. Split your packing up accordingly, so you're not mullered and lose everything vital. If you lose it, take everything important with you. In your hand luggage if you can. So then if you do lose a bag, you only have to get minor things. But try and book a flight to get there a few days earlier. Cusco is a great place. Walk around.
Cusco's a great town. You should be coming for an extra couple of days anyway.
We've even provided a place where you can get cheap tours with our guys the days before.
Yeah.
Plug. For those listening, every time that happens, we look at the camera and do a cheese.
Yeah, I guess for the guys at home, we just say a word and then go quiet for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, so if you hear that pause after a thing...
Look, guys, we're still getting used to this whole video thing, all right? We're getting there.
So, yeah, go travel around Cusco, go walk, go acclimatise, get used to the altitude. You are not going to be able to replicate humidity unless you live in a tropical shed.
No, or you can run in the bath.
You can replicate heat, though, quite easily. And sometimes it's important to remember that the jungle isn't always humid. It sometimes can be hot with low humidity. So, get used to heat. Get out in any heat sessions, just like those desert runners have done. You can prepare for heat. It puts certain stresses on the body that is some way replicable.
Replicable. We'll have that.
So yeah,
how do you prepare for that humidity though?
Just got to drink your water.
Yeah.
Have your salts. Keep cool. There's a lot of rivers. Keep cool. You wet your buffs. Try and help your body cool down as much as possible, because it's going to struggle to cool down. Once again, Brett covers this in the last episode. 5 goes across all ultramarathons, really, and goes across a lot of topics, but I think it's really important. Consistency. I mention this because we had a lot of people trying new stuff out for the first time on the race itself.
Yeah.
Always makes me nervous. Try your food, try your energy gels, put them into your training, make sure your kit's the same. Don't wear a new pair of shorts. Don't wear new t-shirts. Do what you've done in training. Don't go out at the rate of knots if you've not trained like that. Yeah. Don't go out really slow and make your day really long if you've trained for these kind of things. Just be consistent.
You didn't train in one way for 6 months before this race to then run twice as fast when you arrive.
And I say that because there can be quite a lot of influence from the runners around you.
Yeah, you get caught up.
Stick to your game plan.
Yeah.
Number 6. Already touched on this. Plan for a longer day.
Yeah.
40k in the jungle does not take the same time as 40k on the road. No, it sounds quite simple, but just factor that in. Look at the times on our website. Find someone that you might know. Contact them. Use the group.
Feel free. They're all friendly
so
people.
if you see a Will Roberts on the Ice Ultra of 2017, was that the year?
Yes.
Look at his time. Then contact Will Roberts and say, hey, Will, just so I can get a gauge of things, what's your 10k time? What's your marathon time? Oh, that's quite similar to mine.
People shouldn't be nervous about getting in touch with us as well. I've had that. People have called me and taken me out for coffee just to talk through it, like we're doing now.
Things can change rapidly in those kind of environments. Your marathon time and 10k time wasn't particularly quick, but you was trained specifically for that event where most people come in. So you was better at that than you would have been at a marathon or a 10k really.
Yeah. So
it was a bit of an anomaly in that case, but there's lots of people that you can get a gauge of how long you're going to be, and they've got lots of advice. Use our groups.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Go on.
Be strong.
Be strong.
You can be strong mentally, which you're going to need for anything like this, but actually physically strong. You're going to have to pull yourself up ropes, possibly row across rivers in an eclectic mix of dinghies and rafts and things that we make for you, and be strong.
Absolutely. On those steep, muddy slopes and stuff, on your way up and on the way down, some of them are as much OCR as they are ultra running.
And if there's a photographer around, you can be that guy that helps someone up a muddy banking by putting your hand out and pulling them up, and then you're that guy.
Oh, yeah. And then you're that guy, and it's on camera.
You're on our website for life if you're that guy. Yeah,
that's you in our marketing material for the rest of your life. No royalties.
So do some curls, boys and girls.
It makes absolute sense. It's just in the little things. You know, you are going to be carrying that pack on your back for 5 days. Well, we've already covered long days. Get those long days into your training and make sure that your body's conditioned for that. But 4 days into carrying that weight, it's all those little muscles are going to start aching.
It's not like how much you're benching and squatting and deadlifting. It is to a degree, but just be strong in general. So get to the gym, make sure you're cross-training a bit, or you're training like you would for like an OCR.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be pulling and lifting yourself up. And I think that takes a few people by surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 9.
Go on.
Pack light.
Oh, yeah.
So average weight of our backpack for the Jungle Ultra, because of the hammock, it can be a little heavier than other ultra marathons.
Yep.
But I would say is between 6 and 10 kilo.
Yeah, I'd say that's safe.
And bear in mind, when you're speaking to people and you see their pack weight, you have to consider your level and your consistency, and it's not always going to be the same, and you might require more food because you weigh more and you're less trained, or you're faster or you're slower, and there's lots of different variabilities. But the one thing you can do is use our Facebook groups or use our guys that do the races to pack light.
Everything. Think of everything. Try everything.
Even look at the Ice Ultra video that Will did. The top tips. He talks about...
How long did I wang on about cutting your toothbrush in half to save 10 grams on plastic? Do it.
Matters.
Do that.
Matters.
It does matter.
Because we always get the people... I can even think of one runner in particular that lost out on winning the race because his first day he was too heavy.
Yes. Yeah, naming no names, I know who you mean. And had to eat his way through about 20% of his food.
And he'd probably be a course record holder as well.
Yeah.
Everyone. Which is gutting in one way for him. I mean, he was great runner. But even, the top guys are getting it wrong. If you're new into multi-stage, look at your overall combined weight. If you're a big guy or a big girl that needs to eat a lot, look at your combined weight. And it's actually sometimes not just packing light, but if you're carrying a bit of extra body fat, it's sometimes easier to lose 2 pounds of body weight than backpack weight. Ultimately, you are transporting the weight of you in that backpack over 150 miles, and it becomes considerably easier when you're lighter.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds so obvious, but people don't think of it. You think, I need to be prepared for anything, so I need this bit of kit and this bit of kit and this bit of kit, and they end up with a bag that they could get into comfortably if they needed to.
A good example of that would probably be Pete Ryan. So Pete Ryan came into our series. He's a great guy. He's done.
Pete, we love you. He's not having a pop.
I mean, we can't say anything bad about him because he would knock me out.
Knock you out.
I don't think he likes Milky Ways like Tyson Fury, so he might do. Let us know, Pete. Write in it.
Pete Ryan, do you like Milky Ways?
Contact Louisa. Let us know. Imagine that email. Yes, Louisa, I like Milky Ways. What?
No explanation, just Louisa, yes.
But so he came to the series and he was a fighter, or he trained fighters. He was pretty damn hench, had a lot of weight to him, packed heavy, didn't have the best of luck in his first 2 races. Came back after he did some photo shoots and stuff like that, so he was ripped by the time he came back. He was a good 10, 15 kilo lighter, and there was a moment in a race where he came to me and went, oh, this is what it feels like. Yeah. Because he was just so much lighter, and he was like, yeah, it's so much easier when you're lighter. So yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, look at me. I'm probably a good example actually coming up to the desert. So I'm running the Desert Ultra this year, which is going to be an interesting thing because really don't. I've not felt pressure like this before. I really don't want to DNF my own race. That'd be so bad.
That's it. DNF in a race. Fair enough. You've got a good reason.
I've not DNF'd a race yet, touch wood. I don't want to DNF my own one at that around my friends.
Nightmare.
So anyway, training's commenced. But I am currently body weight of 83 kilo, and I know that my backpack will be 7 kilo. So that's a total combined weight of 90 kilo. That's far too much. So I'm going to take my body weight. I'm at about 20% body fat now. I'm not in particularly great shape. But I'm going to take my body weight down to 73. We got a follower!
That was a new follower.
Yeah!
Oh, fantastic. That worked.
I'm going to take my weight down to 73 kilo, so my combined weight is 80 kilo.
Fantastic.
Demand on my body is far less.
Yep.
I probably need less calories. If I've got less body fat, I'm probably going to sweat a little less, be better in the heat. Loads of benefits. So if you are looking at your race coming up of anything, weight is important. Really important. And we'll probably we could do a whole podcast episode on that.
Yeah.
But pack light.
Pack light, be light.
Including yourself.
Yeah.
Be light.
Don't carry what you don't need.
Final point. This is
on.
probably more of a life tip than anything, but
Go on.
Hygiene.
Don't
be a scratter, as they would say in Yorkshire.
That's a good word. I like
Yeah.
that. We don't want no scrubs.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Scrubbers are gonna get no love from me. Hanging on the passenger side of the
best friend's ride.
trying to holler at me. That's for Kimball mainly.
Get the piano out.
That's for Kimball mainly because I know he likes that song.
Yeah. That's a tune.
So, yeah, jungle's a bad environment for passing on germs.
Hands up who's fouled themselves in Peru.
Oh!
Hey!
So, if there's a bug or anything like that, it is going to rifle through camp. So we try and even put hand sanitizers on the water boxes to make sure people are using them there. You're in close quarters to each other. The toilet facilities aren't the best for the first few days. We're having to put a lot of infrastructure back into the camps. Wash your hands before you eat.
Oh, God,
and once you've been to the toilet. I mean, this is basic life advice, but when you're tired, and especially if you're one of those guys wearing gloves, nobody got time for no jungle glove. Getting around the food, just don't do it. And as Brett poetically puts in his race brief, no one wants to be the guy that shats themselves out of a race. Or a girl. I could famously quote a girl that shat themselves back into a race.
Yes.
I'm not mentioning names.
To.
Not mentioning names. Because she could also knock me out.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, just hygiene in general.
Again, this is another one of those ones that sounds like a really basic thing, but it's frustrating. You're hungry, you're on the trail, you just want to reach into a pocket and grab your food. You've got loads of nuts and trail mix and stuff like that.
Sweaty.
Lovely idea, but 3 days in, that polythene bag is full of sweat and you've put your hands in it 3 dozen times already. So those hands better have been clean.
Yeah, hands need to be clean. Spork needs to be clean. If you're... and this actually comes as a good tip from John when I went and met Firepot, who, if you're looking at food for these things, we've got a discount code for. We have a close partnership with John.
Shall I drop
Firepot.
that in the description as well?
Yeah, why not? So we have discounted Firepots. It's rehydrated food rather than freeze-dried, so it's good. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But he was saying like how people use he has now started offering lighter packs, biodegradable packs to transport the food in, because he was worried about people, and it's quite a common thing, I've done it myself, of using the same pack as a bowl. Yeah. So typically what would happen is people would decant their food into Ziploc bags and have one bag or one original bag to use as a bowl throughout the race.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, are you going to wash that with fairy liquid? Are you going to do that? It's going to have residue food on it. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Of getting stomach bugs and things like that, because you've got an unwashed plate that you're using all week. Essentially, you'll rinse it out with water. It'll do the job.
But
roughly.
it's never going to be clean, and your porridge tomorrow is going to taste like last night's tikka.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where Firepot are now offering that additional service where you can get the lighter packs and you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's the hygiene.
I get it. And I'm not saying don't do that as a system. A lot of people do, and I've done it myself, but when you don't, it's hard enough to get yourself to eat anyway, let alone when your porridge tastes like chicken tikka, or it's going to cause you to foul yourself out of contention.
Yeah, and
neither are ideal.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we put on the mandatory kit antiseptic wipes and antiseptic gel. There's always someone that doesn't bring it, and we have to sub it in. And we're going to really on our race pack, it says that you can't race if you haven't got these kits. We do often sub in a few little things, but we're going to time penalty now.
Yeah.
So if you turn up without antiseptic wipes, I'm going to hit you with a 2-hour time penalty. So you're already 2 hours behind. So if you're looking at a race position, that's gone because you forgot some antiseptic wipes. They're there for a reason. It's to keep everyone in the race. And toilet paper. We don't put that on the mandatory list because we think
because everyone uses it every day. Surely.
It's like toothpaste. Bring toothpaste. Bring toilet paper. Bring toilet paper, guys.
Bring toilet paper.
And if you don't want to bring toilet paper,
poops.
do the... I'm not going to sing a song. But even wemmy wipes. Great way of saving weight, again, if you're that inclined, but bring toilet paper with you. Don't want to be subbing in, and no one wants to be doing the having to deal with that.
No one wants to deal with that.
No one. You can never clean yourself.
No.
There's no amount of antibacterial.
You absolutely can't. And you're not going to wipe yourself on a leaf in the jungle because that leaf is either poisonous or covered in something else, which is.
Yeah.
So never do that.
So anyway, that's my top 10 tips.
Okay.
So shall we do a little recap?
Yeah, go on.
We've got hammock, setting that up, hills, learn how to do some hills, foot care, preventative measures and looking after them, acclimatise, consistency in training and for performance, plan for longer days, be strong. We missed one.
No way.
Yeah. Final one, sorry. I bet there's people that's been screaming going, you missed one, Kris!
It'll already be in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, you missed one. Anyway,
you can't count.
So hygiene's now been demoted back to 9. I missed out number 8.
Go on.
Master layers.
It's good. Yeah, it's a strong one as well.
Final point. And it doesn't need a lot of thing. It can be hot, it can be cold, it can be rainy. Make sure you've got the right kit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Some people will pack a really good, incredibly lightweight raincoat. That's great. But you might be one of those people that's going to get really hot in there and just sweat so much inside it, it's ultimately pointless. You're only going to know that if you've worn it in the heat, in your training, to see what it's like.
And Kris, how can I test it if I can't replicate the jungle environments? You don't have to. Shorts and t-shirt. Bring something that's going to keep you warm. If you get cold, your body's going to be tired and you're going to be out of calories. It's probably going to get a little colder than what it's used to. And if you're wet and you can't dry yourself and all those kind of things, just bring a layer.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't want to, prepare to be cold and don't moan about it.
Yeah. You know what?
That might sound a bit harsh, but that's a sore point for me because what happens by day 2 is people are like, I'm cold. Well,
don't forget what you've got in your kit as well. You know, your mandatory kit includes that you have to carry a foil blanket. Or some people will bring an emergency biv rather than the foil blanket. Fine. But don't just carry it around for 5 days and never use it.
Use it.
If you're cold in your hammock, use the foil blanket that's designed to keep very, very tired people warm. That's what it's there for. You know,
be that guy that rustles at night.
Be a pain to, be that guy that rustles at night, or don't sleep for the next 8 hours. It's up to you. You know,
put it in your sleeping bag. Happy days.
Put it in your sleeping bag. Lovely. Put that emergency biv over your sleeping bag. Toasty. Ideal.
There we go.
Yeah.
So anyway, right. Recap again.
Okay.
Rewind. Hammock, hills, foot care, acclimatise, consistency, plan for longer days, be strong, master layers, pack light, hygiene.
Boom. Yeah, that's strong. You know what? I doubted you when you came out with that envelope at the start, but that was pretty good. That was informative. Well, there you go.
Mic drop.
That's why he gets an indoor olive tree.
That's it then.
I suppose it is. I mean,
how long have we been recording now?
1 hour and 4 minutes currently.
We're even good with the times, aren't we?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Like we haven't stopped. For people that are already signed up for the race, there's a load of things that you want to do. For people that aren't signed up to the race, I hope you got a lot of useful information out of that. For people that are sort of interested and want to find out more, they can just go onto our website. Loads of info, loads of videos. Danger, don't go on our YouTube channel if you're thinking about it, unless you want to secretly do it. Because if you go onto our YouTube channel and watch some of the videos, I can guarantee you're going to want to come onto the race.
Absolutely, because our videographer is a genius.
He's an evil genius.
He's an evil. Is he evil? I never had Ryan down as evil. Ryan, are you evil? He's evil. Oh God, I've always wondered.
He might be calm and collected, but inside there he's a
Seems
psycho.
really calm, but yeah, he's just waiting to flip.
So yeah, there's that. You may hear my dog barking. So
That was good.
It's definitely time to wrap up because she needs to go out. But yeah, I hopefully see some of you guys on the trail.
That'd be absolutely great.
We've got David Stash up in the next episode, talking about food and food.
Fuel.
Talking about food, fuel, and Tyson Fury's love of Milky Ways.
Tyson Fury loves Milky Ways. Get that spread around. I want to see that as a hashtag.
Thank you again
on
to
Twitter.
Big Moose, our first ever sponsors.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Hugely appreciated.
And Chloe. And all the glam.
And while we're doing all the thanking people bits, thank you if you left us a review on iTunes, or if you rated us on iTunes, or wherever it is you get your podcast from. And if you haven't already done that, then I'm not going to thank you.
Yeah.
Earn that thanks.
Yeah.
Give us a review, give us a rating, and that will help other people to find this podcast so we can talk in their ears as well.
Yeah, and I think actually what we could do is, I don't want to see you wear it, but if we get to a certain number of reviews on iTunes, we can post a picture of you in that hideous jumper.
Okay, done deal.
Once we get to, what are we on now?
Oh, I don't know. We'll check. We'll put that in the description.
We'll put it on our next podcast episode.
Yeah,
we'll say once we get to a certain number of subscriptions on YouTube or whatever, I tell you what, you can do a whole podcast episode in that orange jumper. But it will be
This is on camera, so I'm going to
be the last time and the only time that I see it. Okay.
Done deal. All right.
So if you want to see Will in this horrible orange jumper,
it's a kind of burnt orange. I think it's lovely.
Then get leaving us reviews. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Spotify. We're on Instagram. We're on social channels like Instagram. We're going to do little clips of this. We've got our own personal Instagram that we should probably put up on the videos somewhere. So
I suppose so.
You're at Will.
I am at Will Baldley Go.
And I'm at Kris_Kingy with a K.
_Kingy.
Personal plugs. We will see you in the next episode. It's great to be back. It's great to have you with us.
And we really do hope that you've enjoyed the new microphones as much as we have.
Boom. Audi.